everyone, I'm Laura with Hunterdon County Division of Parks and Recreation, and we're here today to look for animal evidence that you might find in your own backyard. Now, what are we talking about when we say animal evidence? Well, we're looking for signs that animals have been here. Sometimes animals are out at night, or they're out when we don't see them, but we can know what's here by what they leave behind. So, for example, let's take a look over here at this stump. You're going to see some chewed nuts here and over here. Now, these are signs that an animal like a squirrel or maybe a mouse has been here. In this case, I would guess that it's a squirrel because it's up on top of this stump. Now, squirrels like to eat elevated off the ground. We call that using a table, even if it's not a real table. But we call that using a table, and that allows them to look around them for predators that might be looking to eat them, so they can remain vigilant and looking around while they're eating. So in this case, my guess is a gray squirrel because these nuts are completely broken. I do have flying squirrels here as well, but they would chew a smaller hole into a hickory nut because they are smaller. They're not going to shatter the entire thing. So that's one sign that's pretty common. I would recommend if you have a wood pile, look around that area, look around stumps, this type of location. Another thing that you might see even here is this hole underneath the tree stump here. Now this might not look like too much, but this is an old hole from most likely a fox. Could be a groundhog too. It's a little too wooded here probably for a groundhog. But a fox or a groundhog, they like to dig under something like a stump or a live tree even as a place for their den. That's going to be where they sleep, where they raise their young. Now, as you can see, this one is filled with leaves. So this is an old hole. It's not being used anymore, but it was at one point. If we wanted to see if this hole was still active, what we could do is find a few sticks, thin sticks, kind of just place them across the hole like this. Wait a day or two, come back, take a look at the hole. Now if it looks the same, that's a hole that's not occupied anymore. However, if these sticks are gone and the leaves and everything, they're cleared out, then we know that that's probably a hole that an animal is using because it's coming in and out every day. So another thing that you might be able to find near where you live is holes on trees. Now, who do you think made these holes? We see down here, here, and up here. Now, if you said a woodpecker, you are correct. Woodpeckers like to use their very strong beaks to peck into the trees. They're not looking to harm the tree necessarily, but they're looking for insects that they can eat. Those are going to be living either under the bark of living trees, they might be in dead trees or tree stumps, but they're going to be inside there. Other reasons to make holes are for a nesting site or just to drum, make a loud noise, and announce their territory. So these holes are older ones that are sort of grown over by the tree, but this one looks fresher to me. That's a newer hole. And the size of the hole can tell us something about the type of woodpecker that made it. So this type of hole, the long, tall ones that are either oval or rectangular in shape, those are made by the pileated woodpecker, which is about this big. It's got a big red crest. It's our biggest woodpecker. So those are always exciting to see. If you see a series of holes in a line like this, going horizontally, that's from a woodpecker called a sapsucker, which lives here in the winter, and it drinks the sap that runs down from that tree, and it also eats the insects that are attracted to the sap. So if you're very lucky in your backyard, you might find a bone or even a skull. Over here, we have a jawbone from a deer, an adult deer that passed away here a year or two ago. Now, if you take a close look at this jawbone, you're going to see some lines here on the side and here as well. Those are actually chew marks from a rodent like a mouse. After this bone was sitting here in the woods, the mouse came along and chewed on it, And it was doing that to get calcium. Just like you and I need milk for calcium to make our bones strong, rodents need calcium as well to make their bones and their teeth strong. And for rodents, their teeth continue growing throughout their life, so they always need to wear that down and they always need to have strong teeth. So that's what we can find on this jawbone. I'm going to set this down. Let's take a walk and see if we can find the other bones from this deer. We're going to head over this way. Let's take a look here on the ground, see if you can see anything that might be another bone. All right, take a look at the ground here, and you're going to find this bone here. This is part of the leg of the deer. And here's another one, and another piece over here. Yeah, these are all leg bones. And all the way over here is the skull. Now, most likely these bones are scattered from animals like vultures coming along and eating that dead deer and moving the bones around. But the thing that I think is the coolest about this skull is that if you look closely, you can see some squiggly lines along the skull. And these are actually, the skull is actually made up of multiple bones that fuse together as they grow into one skull. And for humans, that's the case with us as well. Young babies have softer bones and they grow together and they harden into a single skull. So that's our deer skull. It's spring, and now is the time that most animals are having their babies. We especially think about birds and looking for bird nests at this time of year. Most of our backyard birds build nests up in trees, and that's the case with the mourning dove. Behind me in this rhododendron, on the right side, is a mourning dove, and right now she's sitting on the nest. The nest is built out of twigs, grasses, pine needles. It's a little bit flimsy in structure. You can see some of the grasses hanging down. And she's probably sitting on 2 eggs right now. If you want to we're quiet, we can take a closer look. But remember, we always want to respect wildlife. They're our neighbors, and we want to give them plenty of space. Now, I hope you go online onto our distance learning page on the Hunterdon County Parks website. There we have some worksheets. One of them is about about skulls. You can learn more about deer jawbones and other animal skulls. We also have a bingo game on animal evidence that you can take out into your own yard and look for some of these signs. I hope you get the chance to go out and enjoy nature and that you find something interesting.